Hi, I'm Marlo from Wild Food UK, out foraging again. It's the 17th of July today and I'm in Herefordshire, but the plant I'm going to tell you about today is a plant that grows all over the country, so it doesn't really matter where you are, just look for the right environment. The environment for this plant here, our Meadowsweet, is moist ditches, roadsides, hedgerows and moist fields. It likes it a little bit damp, and it's really common and really easy to identify, and it has some lovely tasty uses. So I'm just going to go through a few things, how to identify it. Like I say, its environment, it likes moist hedges, and there's a ditch down here, a drainage ditch, which is giving it lots of water. Now, to ID it, when it's in flower like this, like you saw at the beginning, it's easy to ID, but it's easy to ID when it's just coming out the ground as well, because you've got this pretty much unique leaf system. So spiky leaves, and then in between larger leaves, we have these little leaflets. And there can be one, or on here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the top there. Now, that's reasonably unique, a leaf structure in an environment like this, but it's got another identifier too, which is helpful. So, quick crush of the leaves and a smell gives me a smell that I don't particularly enjoy. Some people do, but to me it smells a bit like germaline, which isn't particularly pleasant. It brings back memories of grazes, but the leaves and the flowers both have that sort of pungent aroma, and that flavour, when added to certain things, is really lovely. So I call it Meadowsweet. It used to be called Meadow Wort. That's because it used to be used to flavour meads and drinks in days gone by. It's also had a few other names. It was called Bridewort because it was used to be strewn on the floors of churches during marriages, and it was also used to be strewn on the floors of just houses and cottages to give that aroma, or to give a nicer smell to their cottages back in the day. We don't have to do that nowadays, so what I use it for is to infuse vinegars. It's really great to infuse into vinegars. You can infuse it in syrups. Last year I made some Meadowsweet champagne with these flower heads, which was reasonably successful, but I've made so much elderflower champagne this year that I'm gonna stick with that over the Meadowsweet champagne. It's well worth trying though. It's a slightly different flavour. I'd say possibly even more champagne-like than the elderflower champagne. I didn't manage to get it very clear though. It was a very bitty champagne I made from the Meadowsweet. Now, there's one other thing to know about the plant. It does contain salicylic acid, and some people will tell you that that's aspirin, but it's not. Aspirin is acetosalicylic acid, which is a slightly different compound. I imagine it's salicylic acid mixed with acetic acid or something like that, and the effects are quite different. So although this is renowned in some books as a painkiller, from what I've read, I'm no scientist, but from what I've read, this is a plant that you should really only use for things like acidic stomachs, not as a painkiller, as has been suggested to me. Like I say, I'm not a scientist though, so if you guys know more, please feel free to leave a comment. I'm always happy to learn. But from an edible point of view, like I say, a lovely flavouring. It's not something I would ever eat raw. Some people do like it raw, but for me, it tastes a bit like it smells, a bit like germaline. It's a good flavouring though, a really good flavouring for vinegars in particular. Meadowsweet, Filipendula ulmaria is its scientific name. So go out and find some for yourself, it's everywhere. And if you want to find out more, go to www.wildfooduk.com.